Oh, it's beautiful to see all of you in person on Zoom in our new kind of tradition, the study before the new moon. So, reminder for all of us, it's a very powerful day because we know that all the righteous souls descend to our physical realm, just in order for us really to be able really to elevate our consciousness and to help anyone that is really seeking for some kind of gradual consciousness growth and transformation. Only for those, pretty much the righteous souls are available. Only for those that have the desire and making the effort, understanding of what is available. So this is the reason we are gathering. We are about to embark on a journey that's going to take two months that are very intense. Those are the only 2 months that rule by one planet. It means like there is like only 1 month that the moon is related to, which is this month, the upcoming month, the month of Cancer, and there is only 1 month that the sun relates to, which is the month of Leo. Okay, in versus to other months, like we'd say, like Saturn relate to 2 months. It relates to Capricorn and Aquarius. Sagittarius also the same thing. Only those 2 months relate to one planet, and those are the most important in the triangle relationship between planet Earth, Sun, and Moon. It's like the closest to everything that relates to us. And those 2 months considered to be troubled. They consider to be with a lot of judgment. It means that many things happened during these times around the history of time that created a lot of chaos, even in the very past, where everything started to be written down. Like, let's say, if we're talking about the Torah. So we know that during the Torah time, during those 2 months, terrible things happen. And we're going to talk about them. And the reason why we are here is not to really understand how terrible those 2 months is about to be. It's really how to armor ourselves with the right consciousness and being aware of what's really about to happen. Because when you prepare to any battle that is supposed to happen, any recessions, and you prepare yourself for a certain recession, and you are cautious, most likely that you're not going to fall as someone that doesn't know and doesn't have any idea of what's happening. And that's the real technology that has been given to all of us through the wisdom of Kabbalah, the ability really to have the knowledge, the power of what's about to embark, what's about to happen.
Sorry, that includes Leo or just Cancer?
Includes Leo, but Leo is divided to 2, which the second part of Leo become very positive. So the full moon of Leo considered to be one of the most positive days of the year.
Is it a soulmate day?
Exactly, okay. Exactly. So it's interesting to know that, before anything very positive to happen, you have to be tested. This is how the world is formed and designed, so we can earn. What does this mean to earn? It means that you need to go through many tests and challenges, and by overcoming those challenges, there is a gift that is awaiting for you, which is a positive kind of relief and ability to connect directly to the light because you earned it. But again, we must understand, when you look from the eyes of the Creator, of the eyes of the Endless, there is no such a thing negative, positive, okay? It's all about, relativity. And in reality, what happens, it says that during, especially from the 17th day of the month of Cancer, what really happens for a period of 22 days, it says that the ozone spiritual layer that protects us and filters the light, allows the light to come in a way that is balanced and is refreshing and it's nourishing, it's removed. This layer is removed. So what is the danger that we all looking at in this world when there was a hole in the ozone layer? we were frightened that the rays of the sun going to be so strong upon us that they're going to create a lot of chaos, and going to burn us. Yeah, it's going to burn us down, So the sun, which is without the sun we cannot survive, but we know that if it's coming in imbalanced way, like we call it direct light, if that direct light coming without any restriction, without any filters, eventually it can cause sunburns. So now, during this period that we're entering very soon, even though they say that the entire month of Cancer is considered to be days of judgment, okay? Which is becoming more severe on the 17th day. So what does it mean when the ozone layer is actually removed? It means that there is more light. You understand? There is more light in the cosmos, meaning that we can experience something that is very special if we are equipped with the right protection shield. Yeah, so this is the whole idea. So it means if there is more light, it means that we can grow in the best way. So, in the day of Tisha B'Av, the 9th day of the month of Av, also considered to be, that's the end period of those 22 days, it's considered to be the most negative day of the year. So from the 17th till 21 days later, on the 9th of Av, we are gradually entering to the most difficult and most negative day of the year. It says that...
Is that the full moon of Leo? Sorry.
No, full moon is after. It's the 9th day.
Okay.
Full moon usually is the 15th day, yeah? So it's 6 days later. So what will happen on 9 of Av, the 9th day of the month of Leo, is it's actually the day that was designated, that was given free hand to the opponent. In versus Yom Kippur, it was the day that was given free hand to the Creator. Okay, that's the two differences. There are similarities between those 2 days. Why we're applying the same 5 restrictions of fasting, not eating, not drinking, and so on and so on. But on that day, it says that this is the day that the opponent has a free hand to bring a lot of judgment to the world, and many, many, many bad things happen, including within them the destructions of the 2 temples in Jerusalem. Even though there was a difference between them of 70 years, they're both destroyed on the same day. Because, without noticing, the opponent took over the consciousness, created hatred between the people, and because there was so much hate, the temple couldn't stand. So, and on the 15th day of the month of Leo, which is 6 days later, it's considered to be the day of unconditional love. So you see how paradoxical things can happen, and how period can change instantly what we say. Because sometimes we say if we fall and we are, and we feel so much guilt, and we feel that we are so disconnected, we can't really imagine that 5 days later we're going to be on the top, in the peak of where we can get to, isn't it? You don't believe that. But according to the endless light, there is no such differentiation. It says one day you can fall, and second day you can connect if you are in the right consciousness. It's not easy, and we're going to talk about it. But if you are with the right consciousness, just after you went down and fell, whatever you did, whatever according to you considered to be falling, and we know when we fall, we know when we kind of disappointing ourselves or others around us in big way, and when we do so, we feel the guilt, and we feel usually, especially people that doing spiritual work, what they do, they say, okay, because of cause and effect right now, I deserve to have less. Yeah, that's the idea, you know. So if you know that you fell and you did something which is wrong spiritually or what have you, you know that in this moment you're supposed to experience some kind of loss. And for you, for all of us, it's making sense. In a way, we are at peace with that. But it's okay, but on the other end, from the point of view of the light, 5 days later, I can reach into my highest level of consciousness. You understand that? And this is the most difficult thing, the most difficult consciousness to live by. That one day I can be solo, and the next day I can be climbing to a peak. And that's something that we should learn as spiritual people. For religious people, it's impossible. Because what religious people do, they self-beaten themselves constantly. So why is that? Because in the endless, there is no lack, there is no differentiation. So when there is no differentiation in the endless, it doesn't live by the same laws that we live by. We live by the laws of cause and effect. But in the endless, there are no laws of cause and effect. The laws of cause and effect only came about because the vessel wanted to disconnect from the endless and ask for himself to be able really to earn the light. That's the reason we came here to the place we call the tree of knowledge, good and bad. That everything that we experience is mixed with good and bad constantly. And the tree of knowledge, good and bad, means that it's really hard for us to know in this world what is truthful and what is a lie. And you will see many times in your life that a few years later, what you was fighting for justice for, like you're willing to sacrifice all your life for, suddenly it appeared to you that it was meaningless and it was a facade. It was an illusion of yours. And you can see fighting for a cause, fighting for relationship, fighting for some, and you feel that, why did I really invested in that? Or it happened to you, no? I believe.
Happens to all of us.
It happened to all of us, of course. So, and why is that? Because we're living in the world of illusion. And it says that in the world of illusion, as we have all those words, like spiritual words, spiritual elevations, the sfirot, you know. So as we have those sfirot, we have the mirrors of sfirot that going into the sitra achra, to the other side, to the negative side. So there is a gauge, so you count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, and here you say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10, okay? So it's hard to differentiate what is truthful and what is a lie. This is the reason we need so much help. So imagine yourself during this time that the light is shining so bright, and what happens when the sun is shining so bright, usually? What happens to us?
Blinding.
We get blinded, exactly. We get blinded. So we have to close our eyes. We have to put sunglasses. We have to put ourselves somewhere in the shade. And of course, in the shade you see less again. So it's restricting times. So most likely, it says that during this time, any decision making that we're going to make is going to be a little bit distorted and not necessarily the right one. So therefore, they say that we shouldn't do like very, very important decision making during this period. Again, from the 17th.
Oh, from the 17th.
Even this month in general, I would be very careful how I conduct my decisions, because the emotion of cancer is started to take place, and we know that sometimes when we are overly emotional, our decision making can be not so accurate, because we're going to be reactive. because the reactive system activates the emotional state. So every time when we overflow with emotion, most likely that we're not going to make the best decisions. We know that. So imagine yourself on top of this period, on top of all the emotional state that we all going to experience, because the moon is controlling the tides and the, what is the other tide and in the ocean?
Ebb and flow.
No, tides when water are retrieved.
It's called the tides.
Yeah,
Back and
yeah.
forth, it's the tide.
It's the same,
Yeah.
back and forth.
Yeah.
Okay. So I wasn't sure. I thought the tide, it's only when
Like
the...
high tide or low tide?
Yeah, I tide. So it's it's controlling. So imagine yourself, it's controlling all the water. It's like just influencing all the water inside of us. We all
Drink less
water,
water.
but you're
No.
still running on 70, at least 72% water. That's who we are. All our cells are within water.
Yeah.
So during this period, we shouldn't make very crucial decision, but also we have to make decision on a daily basis. So many things. We have to deal with people. We have to deal with clients. We have to deal with family members. Imagine yourself. Everyone is like all his water inside of him is rocking. So let's say you are spiritual, so you are try to take care and be aware, but other people not necessarily understanding that. So everyone is reactive outside. Yeah. So look what the Ari said. The Ari said, "Seder ben hametzarim," especially this period between 17 and the 9th day of Av, of Leo, we are within big danger. That it say that the Kotev, how do you say Kotev? The north,
The western wall.
no, Kotev,
Hotel.
Kotel.
No, not
This
Kotel,
is
Kotel.
hotel.
Oh, Kotev. Not Kotel.
like in the very north, how do you call it? The
Oh,
pole. So it says the pole is very, very towards very, very negative. And it says that if a person is not cleaving to holiness during that day, most likely that the evil inclination going to cleave to him instead. It says that there is no in between. It's either we are cleaving into holiness, or either we are connecting into
Evil.
evil. Evil, it's pretty much a code name to, as we said, to the desire to receive for oneself alone. Selfishness. Selfishness, it's evilness according to Kabbalah. There is no other evil. There are degrees of evilness, of selfishness, of what selfishness can do to a person, but it's the word evil, Kabbalistically, means selfishness, pretty much. Okay? But it says that we can actually create different vessels that will allow us eventually to be able really to put our prayers in the right place. So of course, it's times that we're going to probably we'll have more need of asking for help. Yeah. What is prayer? Prayer is pretty much asking for help. What is meditation? It's trying to listen to the higher self, to the voice of the Creator, and to be guided by that. It means that I'm not trusting myself too much, especially during these days, because I know I am. The sun is shining too hard over me, and it's probably I have certain type of blindness that are there. So it says that what represented the light, especially in the prayer, the tetragrammaton, the Yud K Vav K, yeah, the name of God, the spell name of God. Okay, so everyone knows it from the different prayers that we use. So pretty much, it says that we have to reduce this name. So there are mainly 3 occasions that we kind of twisting the name of the Creator, which represent Zeir and Pin, which represent the light of the sun, let's say, the spiritual light of the sun, and we are kind of constricting it to a way that it will allow us really to be able to see. So what the eye is doing when there is too much sunlight, they're pretty much closing. Yeah, the pupil is closing. It's creating a restriction pretty much. So he knows that a little amount of light going to be enough for me to be able to see. But if I open it too wide, I'm going to get blinded. So those 3 times where we're using the Yud Kei Vav Kei, there are different meditation. I'm going to say it in general. What I suggest that later on you can go on Kabbalah.com and learn them in details. You will see all the letters in front of you. I rather today talk more about consciousness. I'm just going to mention that so we understand what's happening in terms of consciousness. So when we talk about 3 times, it's always related to the 3-column energy, isn't it? So there are 3 ways really to change names according to Kabbalah. Okay, one is take a word and move all the letters to the letters before them according to the alphabetic order. Okay, and the second way is to take the same word and move it towards the letter afterwards. So you get a completely different word. You understand that? Mm-hmm. And the other way to do it, which is the center column, is to replace the first letter with the one that is in polarity. So if we take, let's say, the letter A in English, so A we replace with Z. Okay? So Aleph we replace with Taf. This is called the Adbash. It means that it's like the opposite order. Okay, so those are 3 ways that Kabbalists played with different combination in order to bring about different lights. Okay, so on the first meditation of the Yud Kei Vav Kei, what we do, we reduce it because that's related to the energy of mercy. Okay, so what does it mean? Why are we reducing now? Like, why are we replacing backwards the letters on the level of mercy? Because we want to have with less need for mercy on that time. You understand? And the other combination of the Yud Kei Vav Kei, what we do, which is related to Gvura, what we do is increasing our ability to overcome. You understand? So we're creating a bigger vessel to handle more judgment. So we have less need for mercy during this time because we're becoming resilient, and we can also handle more judgment. Okay? And the last combination is to be able really to be in 2 places in the same time. To understand that the worst thing in the world is actually allowing me really maybe to be in the greatest place in the world. You see how genius this the Kabbalists were, and how they equip us with the right tools to handle different periods in life. And there is another combination that we use that it's related to tzara. Tzara in Hebrew means trouble, not just trouble.
Pain, suffering.
You can say suffering. Yeah, you can say suffering. Tzara, but it's more like you enter to a place where you feel, oh, I got into trouble. Yeah?
Isn't it problems?
Problems, yeah.
Problems.
Yeah, problems, but trouble means that I enter to
You're culpable. You're in a situation.
I'm in situations that, I don't know what to do here. It's like, seems to be very, very chaotic, yeah? So it says that if you replace the letter of tzara, you receive the word ratzon. So every time that you seems to be in trouble, there is another meditation that we are changing the letters from trouble and we changing them into ratzon, which is desire. Because the ability of desire is really to, How many times, in our reactive emotional state, we feel that this is the end of things and things are not working, and we have like different, illusions that we're about to get fired, or this relationship is about to end up, or money is not going to flow into my business. We have this, and it seems to be so real, and it's like affecting all of us. So he said in that moment, the meditation is to, okay, you feel it. Maybe it's also a kind of a warning alert for something, which is good. But what you do with it, you put yourself down. That's not, I'm not going to benefit from it if I put myself down. So what do I do with it really? I actually awakening desire to find a solution for it. So if I'm awakening desire to find a solution for it, most likely that I'm going to be more proactive. I'm going to think more positive. I'm going to, my instincts going to lead me really to find answers. This is the whole idea. That's what desire does to us. Because, as I mentioned before, when we feel that we fall, and we always feel that we are falling, because we are all falling. That's the word to live in this world. And there is always the temptation to fall, and the test that's causing us to fall. So when we fall again, I feel so bad that I'm actually attracting even bad scenarios to me. I'm attracting it. This is where I am, Because if I feel bad about something, why should I attract something positive? Because my mindset, wherever my mind is, that's what I'm going to achieve eventually. And imagine yourself like all the negative thoughts that bombard us on a daily basis. Yeah, even if we're not doing like something critical that is very negative. Imagine yourself how much of those we have. So it says that the Kabbalists explain to us in the Zohar, in portion Bereshit, it says, it's explained about the prayer. And we know that we are connecting to what we call the prayer of the poor. That's the name of our Siddur. What does it mean, the prayer of the poor? It means that if you really want to receive, you have to be a vessel, an empty vessel, a poor vessel. You cannot say, I have everything is okay, and go to pray. How can the light force fulfill a vessel that says, everything is amazing in my life? Doesn't make sense. It means that if you go to pray, it means that you have a desire for something new, something you need, that you want for yourself, for the world. It's okay. It doesn't mean it has to be on a personal level. It says that the Rav Ashlag only prayed for spiritual matters. He never prayed for something physical to happen in his life. Can you imagine to pray only for spiritual reasons, meaning for spiritual elevation, for correction of the world, for more wisdom, only those things. We have many wishes that could be very tangible, yeah, and it's okay too, but we need to understand that only spiritual matters will resolve them. That's the whole point of being spiritual. That only because there is some kind of different curtains in our life that blocking us to connect with that certain blessing. The blessing, the sun wants to come. The rays of the sun wants to enter to each and every one of us. Why they're not entering? Because there are different veils that blocking them. Why those veils are there? Related to reincarnation, related to many other things. So this is how judgment appear. Because I'm carrying different layers of negativity, different curtains that came to me because of my past doings. And that's running for 6,000 years. So therefore, there are so many reasons, so many cause and effects relating to that it's impossible really to understand exactly why. Yeah? Because there are so many things that happened in history of time. Imagine yourself that everything is calculated in the cosmic computer. Everything, every piece of information, every piece of action is calculative in the reality that we see right now in the world. Pandemic, recession, God forbid, the third world war can happen if someone clicked the wrong buttons. But this is where we are. This is where we brought ourselves, and that's called judgment. It's called judgment, meaning that if it wasn't judgment, and people won't carry this type of judgment, we could live peace on earth as it's meant to be, eventually in the end process. But in order to get there, we need to use everything that is available in the toolkit that the Kabbalists gave us. And what they say about this period, they say, especially in prayer, that all the people that chase the Shekhinah, chase the light during this period, BEIN HAMETZARIM, they were able to achieve it. It's especially during this time, you can actually achieve the greatest of the greatest. But what he says here again, that if your prayer is not complete, is not full,
Not sincere.
yeah, not with the right intention, there are destructive angels that will chase after your prayer and not going to let it to elevate.
Oh, wow.
What do they mean by not sincere?
No, depending on the intention.
Intention.
Yeah.
What do you mean by like?
Selfish intention or
But what's considered selfish intention?
instant gratification with no long-term benefit.
Well, if you say the words of the
You
prayer,
see,
but
when-
don't connect to it with your hearts.
Let's say it's
Not
more
sincere, right?
limited when you just pray for yourself. We say sometimes when you pray for others,
Right.
you're going to be the one that receive the blessing first, isn't it? Because eventually, if it's for you, it means that this is the end of the line. It means that it ends with you. But if it's collective, it will come to you too. Understand? This is the difference between altruism to selfishness.
Does
That
it have an effect if I pray for others because I know it's going to come from me? So the intention is still kind of selfish, but the prayer, that affects it, right?
a bit,
Yeah.
a bit. But it says that even every actions of sharing, my hope within that action of sharing is really to come to true, sincere care to others. So if you're not yet sincere in your care, and you do it only because, let's say,
You're supposed to. You think you're supposed to.
Selfish,
you
yeah.
read about it or you learn about it and you don't really feel the connection
Yeah.
to that yet, or you didn't experience it yet. So okay, so I want through this action that I really learn how to truly care about.
Okay.
You
So,
know?
is it advisable to direct action through emotion?
What do you mean emotion?
Well, you said earlier that emotions are not the best drive for decision making because that's reactive.
If they are,
But in
like
prayer,
overflowing
if we're-
yourself.
But in prayer, you're saying that we need to do it with sincerity. Sincerity comes from the heart. So, are our emotions not our compass to the truth?
It depends on whether you're talking about proactive or reactive emotions.
exactly.
All emotions are reactive.
No,
Yeah.
absolutely not.
No, the way you love people isn't reactive.
No, but I think the negative connotation on reactive is of this course, but I'm saying any reaction comes from our sympathetic system, which is a reaction.
Well, it
So-
doesn't
Which is emotional.
have to. We're learning wisdom through all
But
the learning
wisdom,
thoughts.
but you're saying that if prayer is sincere,
Mhm.
sincerity comes from the heart.
Well, let me explain sincere. If I'm saying a prayer asking for mercy, asking for judgment to be lessened against me, and I'm thinking about the TV show I'm going to watch that night, or the BLT sandwich I'm going to have while watching that show, and I'm not really focused on seeking mercy,
Or just
then
the
I'm
back
not.
of the guy's head in front of you.
There you go.
Like-
Who has a really nice haircut.
But tell me,
I'm not being
when you
sincere
are
in my
very
prayer.
emotional about something that just happened to you, would you have the concern of feeling other people pain in that moment?
We cannot feel other people's pain if we don't feel our own.
But can you do it in the same time?
We have to.
No, but if you're completely observed with your emotional whatever,
But most people
Would you be
actually
able to
connect
feel
the
someone
most
else?
when we are in emotional situations. The people have gotten so much closer in crisis than at any other time.
yeah, but not necessarily from the right reason. You know, why they didn't get close in not in crisis?
But if we look at any tragedy, that's when people come together.
But it doesn't have to
doesn't
be
have
that
to
way.
be.
But it's very reactive.
It doesn't have to be that way.
I'm not saying it does.
I can extend myself with love, even moments of not of no there being
but
no
if
tragedy.
if you're extending yourself for love because you think it's the right thing,
No, because I'm
is that
inclined that
better
way.
than doing it because you feel it's the right thing?
Through the work of the Kabbalah, we transform ourselves, where our sense of what the way we want to act to our world, not reactive to circumstance, just that's the way we want to react to our world. But it takes effort, it takes a lot of hard work, and realigning our consciousness.
Right,
And
no,
that's
I'm just
proactive.
asking that question about the emotions.
Yeah. So the idea is that why emotions do exist. This is the big question, no?
No, the emotion, I'm wondering if it's advisable to act out of emotion.
It depends. If it's really
Like, 'cause I'm
jeopardizing,
saying, like, if they're saying
if
that,
it's
we always say
jeopardizing,
that
or
it's not good to make decisions based on emotion. But when we want to do things with sincerity and intention, we do it from our emotions. We don't do it with our logic. Our logic is elusive.
I don't agree.
I think either if your emotions are controlling you, it's reactive. But if you're aware of how you feel and you're in control of your emotions and your actions, then that's desirable. So it's from emotions, either reactive emotion or like emotion that you're in control of and aware of.
I don't know, I just feel like if you pray from your heart,
Yeah.
is that not better than praying because you think it's the right thing to do?
but if you are very emotional on that day, most likely you won't pray from your heart. Understand? If you're overwhelmed with emotions for something that triggered you like 2 minutes before, can your prayer really be in touch with your heart?
Isn't that when they hear us the most? When
No.
we're in crisis, when we're poor, when we feel lack, when we're out of control.
No.
No. That's maybe.
If a baby cries silently versus wailing, which do you hear more? If a bunch of people are in crisis and they're praying all at once, versus someone who prays because they think it's the right thing to do and it's going to give them a blessing at the end of the day, which is more sincere?
Yeah, but you're taking many statements and many mixing them together. That's creating. It's not so relevant. You understand? You have many big questions that not necessarily related to the topic. You understand?
I don't know. I thought we were talking about intent.
It's not. I mean, intention is very important, but you need to understand that if I have a reaction of overwhelming emotional states of anger, hate, depression, all of that, I definitely won't be able to feel the other person.
Because I'm more in
Understand?
survival mode, you know, like to your example to the hunger or poor, right? If I'm starving, there's no way, I mean, it's harder for me to think about, I don't know, my mother that might be even worse than I am because I'm so into my own physical
Pain.
need, yeah, versus if I just let go and say, okay, I don't know what's going to
No,
happen.
I'm not saying that's obviously healthier. I'm just saying for prayer purposes.
Well,
Which
well,
is more
yeah,
effective?
but if I am just concentrating in the I need food right now, versus just letting letting my emotions
Alan, what are you
flow
doing?
a little bit, and then be able to take it to a different.
I thought you
I'm
taking a
just
photo of
wondering
us.
if emotions have credence and if they're getting enough credit.
Cannot hear you.
wanna
I'm mute.
pray with-
He's doing our social media right now. He's putting teasers on Instagram.
I was literally looking at everything to make sure it was correct, and I'm like
One
monitoring
mental
things.
states to consider.
It
That
scared
not
me.
really relates to like in prayer having a sort of
It was funny.
appreciation for the light or like
But we always
I don't
learn
know.
that we want to
Like,
show
there's
God that
actually-
we need Him, right?
yes,
Yeah,
So,
and
but maybe not from a desperate
but
point.
even like
but that's the lack.
we can come as an
That's
like
the lack. That's when people come to prayer.
That's when we break the-
but
No,
we can see the
no,
lack
break
that
the-
there,
That's why we get
point to the doodle
judgment,
page.
so that we get.
Okay,
closer.
guys, let's get back to the subject matter.
Get it
So,
through.
I just,
yeah. So
We're staying after. Keep going.
yeah, right,
Yeah.
maybe like,
you most likely need to take a few more Kabbalah to understand the language, because you're bringing language that is different a bit.
Generalizations.
So you need to take a few more courses, Kabbalah.com. You can learn about different things that can help you to understand. But it's a bit irrelevant to what we're trying to
Sure.
achieve. Yeah.
Sorry, I just
Okay.
wanted
So it says that the time that we are praying, there are different destructive angels that are hanging in 4 different klipot layers, and for each and every one of them, there are 70 different angels that are in charge, that between each chamber and chamber where the prayer need to elevate to, it means that every prayer, you can't even imagine, every prayer that we try to elevate to its right place so we can download something new to our life, some kind of energy, it have to go through 70,000, to break through 70,000 negative angels. Can you imagine? It's so difficult. And then we're saying that so many people are praying in the world and they're not receiving what they want. Because, the Zohar describes why. What is the difficulty?
Shivim Elef?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
70,000 רבו מלאכי חבלה.
So is that like within the 4 layers of the klipot, or like is that for each layer?
So it's four layers,
Yeah.
which then divided to the different chambers that it's have to escalate to. So it's bringing the sum eventually to 70,000. Okay, 70,000.
Because within each one.
Wow, that's the challenge to manifesting.
So yeah, we sometimes struck why it's so difficult to manifest things in this world. But it says that when we turning our trouble into true desire, because usually, our instinct, like in our survival mode, is like when we are in trouble, either to give up or either to do everything in our power to save ourselves, meaning to awaken the true desire. So he said during this time, because we're sensing the missing, we're sensing the trouble, we can awaken the desire, and therefore we can achieve more things than can be ever achieved during the other times of the year. So it says that this period is actually taking the entire judgment of the entire year, and if we're doing the work right during these 3 weeks, it means that the rest of the year will be much more doable, much more possible. That's the beauty. What else? It's the Kabbalists explain to us that the word chet, the letters of the month of Cancer is chet, the letter chet, and the letter of the month of Leo is tet. Okay, but we know the word chet is also related to the word chet, which is misdeed. It's a sin. Yeah. So, but what is interesting about the word chet, that especially in this word, to explain to us like the paradox of life, because the numerical number of the word chet is tov, which is good. So to understand that I am the decision making of everything. It says like, even though the spirit seems to be so terrible, but it's actually the most beneficial thing that can ever happen to me. So what happened also during this time? So in the 17, it's, by the way, it's the etymology of the word chet. 17 days of the word, the day of Cancer. So on the 17th day, what happened actually? The Israelites built the golden calf. Okay? Which, if they waited another 6 hours, Moses would come back with a tablet. So it says that on that day, redemption was supposed to happen in the world. Redemption, meaning that Moses is supposed to bring the tablets, they're bringing the Torah to the Israelite, and this is the end of the game. That's it. But, of course, from lack of patience, they miss it out. And because they miss it out, this day turned to be, instead of the most blissful day, into the most negative day. So in those 3 weeks, what we are correcting is chet ha'egel. It's like the misdeed, the sin of the building of the golden calf. What we also correcting, now just to understand, to get back why we have judgment. Yeah, why we have judgment is because we have the collective correction for what happened in the past. We are carrying this burden on us. You understand? So we are correcting because we probably were there in different form or other, being part. And the second thing that we are correcting is what happened with the spies. So it says the spies went to their travel to Israel exactly today, on the 28th. We are already in the 29th of the day, but on the 20th, just in this morning, they went towards Israel, and they arrived on the 8th day of Av. This means that all the period of BEIN HAMETZARIM, which completely disillusionate all their decision making, made them to come with the bad news. The bad news of saying Israel is bad. Israel is a place where we cannot really survive, because Israel represents like the spiritual realm. It represents the place where we all supposed to be fully connected. So they say, and they came, and when it happens that they gave the bad news, on the 9th day of Av.
That's awesome.
Again. So they gave this bad news. It means that they actually caused all the Israelites to be delayed for 40 years, and most of the people that fell into this consciousness weren't able to enter to Israel because they miss out the opportunity. So there are windows, and when you don't take the window and say, I don't like the size of this window, I don't like the color of this window, and you judge the window and say, I don't want to enter.
The window shuts.
The window shuts, and you don't know when is the next opportunity. This is the story of our life.
40 years.
Yeah. So 40 years, and only their sons were able to enter. It's not even them.
And Yeshua and Caleb.
Yeah, those are the ones that were able to enter. So this is also what we're correcting. But what is so interesting about that? That even the Egel of Meraglim, he says that this is a numerically of together, he said Tismach. It's even that is the energy of happiness. It says that because if we didn't have that, we wouldn't have ourselves today in our condition. So also it says about this month, Tove Ganiz Begabe. It says like that in the back of this period, there is only goodness that actually prepared to us. Just we need to earn it. If we prepare ourselves, if we make the right assumption of how to deal with life, to pray with the right consciousness, and to make sure that we are connecting also on the new moon. Because what is tomorrow? It's not today. Tomorrow night. It's the seed of the month. What we're doing on the seed of the month, we are planting the seed of how we're going to determine which month we're going to experience. So the whole teaching of today is really to teach us how we are able really to connect to greatness in times where we are convinced that we are in the lowest. Because this is what this period is going to convince us. Yeah. So to understand that it's all pretty much lies that I believe into. Even when I fall, even when I do mistakes, it's still.
It's all subject to interpretation.
My essence is still cleaved to the light force of the Creator. But if I decide to make a disconnect again, I miss the train again. So it's all about that. So it says even Adam, he was able really to correct himself. He wasn't able to correct all the lineage that passed after him, but himself he was able to correct eventually. And he had the biggest fall ever. He caused all of us to run through all of this. Yeah. Guys, you have any questions from the crowd?
Good evening, crowd. I'm going to do that.
So I want to show you a video. We just entered to a very special day, as we said. We can, as the spies been sent to Israel, it's like we're going to be sent to Israel as a test, and we're going to see many things not for our liking, and we need to decide: are we into the game of life and we're willing to be happy no matter what, or we're going to complain and we're going to badmouth life as we do always. I, at least 10 times a day, complained about my life to my wife. Or
Tree of life or tree of good and bad?
yeah, so it's tree of life or tree of complaints, you know? So this is our test. But why it's so special? Because it's the birthday of our leader, Michael Berg, today. And I want to show you a short video. From Karen Berg saying a few things about him, also in relation to this period. And let's connect a bit. 1 second.
Wait till the 28th is his birthday? or
29th. We're already in the 29th if
Yeah.
it's dark, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
My phone says the 28th.
Well, your phone
No,
is
it's
wrong.
just after.
Apple says it's the 28th.
This is the 27th.
Yeah, it actually says we're in the 27th.
28th, Sivan.
June.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's Sivan. It's 29th.
No, but it should change here, but it hasn't.
Was supposed to be born in Tammuz. We made sure that he was born early first. First of all, I'd like to say that how many of you are cancers? Cancer, wow, it's a lot, huh? First of all, I'd like to say that how many of you are cancers? Cancer, wow, it's a lot, huh? Interesting. I don't envy you, but so much so that when Michael was supposed to be born in Tammuz, we made sure that he was born early first Chodesh. And as fate would have it, Michael was actually born 5 minutes before Rosh Chodesh and 5 minutes before Shabbos. How do I know that? I was there. Actually, it was a very beautiful experience. He was born in Jerusalem, and you know, there was one thing you can say when he was born, in back in the day when Michael was born. No, I gave birth to him in a place called Sharet Tzedek Hospital in Yerushalayim, but in the old Sharet Tzedek, not in the new one. And I remember going into the hospital and saying, "Where's a resuscitator?" Resuscitator is like an incubator. If children have problems breathing, they have a way to resuscitate them. There's something wrong, okay?
Oh.
And the doctor said to me, "Don't worry, we'll find one if we need it." It was the kind of a place where there was a labor room and there was shower curtains that separated one woman from the other.
Oh,
and in order not to have pain during labor, they gave you nitrous oxide.
I guess everyone
That's the truth.
but me.
Okay, all of that being said, and under those type of, for me, little American over here, 4 generations of American born, I found it a little bit strange. However, one beautiful thing I can say, that the moment Michael was born, the doctor didn't cut the placenta. He put him on top of me and he said, "You're going to be late, light Shabbos candles now." That's right. And that's what happened. I lit the candles of Shabbat, and after I lit the candles of Shabbat, the doctor finally took Michael and cut the umbilical cord. Something very, very beautiful. But, having said that, he was born right before Tammuz, right before the month of Tammuz, exactly, within a few moments. It's a nice thing. But, the sensitivity that exists, I think, is probably, if not the most, one of the most sensitive signs in the zodiac. But with that sensitivity, and I don't have to go into the things, we all know that Cancer is, sort of a home sign, a homebody type, someone that really loves their family. And I have to say, and I know that there's supposed to be a lecture about Cancer, but I have to tell you that if there's one thing I can say about my son Michael, I think anyway, is that he's a family man. He loves his wife and his kids. He loves being who he is. He loves what he does. And more than anything else, I think that he loves the spirit which he's grown so much more into, the spirit of leadership and of devotion to a cause. And cancers can have that. However, I knew a man in Colombia that was also a Cancer, and he was on the total other end of the stick. Because when Cancer is determined for something that they want to do, they can go beyond that emotionalism. They become somebody totally different. And in that difference, there could be danger. But for us, this month, I guess we know that we have 2 weeks to do anything we have to do that's important in our lives. Shrasei B'Tammuz, the 17th day of the month, brings us into a totally negative period in which it wouldn't be a good idea to open a new business, start a new relationship, etc. I would think, it says of Cancer, and the Rabbi used to say all the time, that the Cancer would be able, the crab, which is a sign of Cancer, would be able to go across, there was a documentary showing that it would travel across the bottom of the sea next to each other, connected, one next to the other, and together they would form a line that joined them across the sea into their next destination. Which means that they have the ability to love, to become professional in caring about other people, to find their way of giving strength into a group, Of course, sometimes Cancer walks sideways, we know that. And oftentimes the reason for that is to avoid that place of negativity. And so, what we can look forward to, if we look at the sign as a whole, and what we can look forward to for the next two weeks at least, is a time of revelation, a time when things may happen spontaneously, where we can find ourselves in a position, well, I don't know how we ever got there. And that's because of the positioning of certain planets. But just remember that when it comes to the 17th of this month, which for a lot of people is considered a fast day, would be a time of negativity, and a time that from that day forward, there are certain things that we don't do. For instance, we don't go into anything that can determine our life's work or change in our way from that time forward. The letters of the month, Chet and Taf, which we know, and it's interesting, because the numerology of Chet is 17, which is good. That's what it means, Tov. But the numerology of 17 is also Chet, which is not so good. It's the opposite of good. And the reason for that, and that's why we have the ability in this month either to draw the best of what we've got and to take it, and with that to be able to bring to fruition all the things, especially those things that pertain to building a business, to building a home, to building a relationship. Within this next 2 weeks is a time that we can acquire many, many things. However, the same way it can be acquired, this is a period in which there can be, again, the polarity, the destruction of the same. And so, for me, what I wish for all of us is that we should see the fulfillment of the spiritual nature of the month. The ability to take these two forces, the force of the moon, which we know the moon is that which has no light of its own. It's only the light that we give. It's when we're born, we've got that little spark of the Creator God inside of us, which is ours. And the only light, the only way that it can become the person that we are to be is by our work and effort, by our ability to take that negative which is inside of all of us, that environment that we were born in, that negative that we were born in a way, to enhance our light by destroying or by succumbing only to the light force of God and not to the negative things which are around us. And by so doing, we create the light that is ours. And we as human beings are representative of the moon. The moon has no light of its own, only which it receives from the sun. Interesting, the next month is out, right? Which is controlled by the sun. But our job now, at least to the end of this month, is to try to find depression, moods, anger, particular issues, because the other side, the flip side of depression is anger. People oftentimes are angry because they don't know how to control themselves and their insecurity, so they become angry. The flip side of anger is depression. And particularly for this sign, Cancer, it's very, very difficult to control these two forces. And therefore, this month is our opportunity to take the time, and whenever we reach that place of anger or negativity, to try to find an outlet other than succumbing to it. And if we do that, maybe we can enhance this vessel to reach the point that we can fulfill that light which is inside of us. Not that we want to fulfill it all at once, we want to be around for a long lot longer, but at least if we just burn our candle a little brighter, maybe we can dissipate some of the negativity that exists around us. Thank you. I just wanted to reiterate, and I said this a couple of nights ago. I just wanted to say to Michael that, what is a parent? Well, it's somebody that doesn't know anything about raising children and has a baby as a parent. Mostly. How do you learn? I don't know. They come and you raise them. But I have to say that a parent knows when his job has been a decent job and not by what happens to the fulfillment of his children. And I have to say that at least within the last 5 or 6 years, when it was, more than necessary, that Michael has become a man, has become a leader, has become a spiritual force, has become far more than I would have ever expected him to be in the Bezrat Hashem for 190 years, in the number of years he's already been here with us in this position. He's wise beyond his years, with a heart as big as he is, and a humanity and a humility that suits that as well. And me, for one, I have to say, not a bad job, Mom. Thank you.
So, but I really suggest you go on Kabbalah.com and learn a bit deeper on that. There are a few good lessons there. Again, I don't want to get into the technicality, because also we have 17 days till we're going to get there. So we have time to prepare ourselves and to learn more and more and to prepare ourselves to this period.
Okay. And can you give us links that you think we should listen to?
Yeah, you just say BEIN HAMETZARIM, or the period of the 3 weeks of Narowness.
Okay.
3 weeks. Just put it in the search engine and it will lead you there.
Thank you, David.
Thank you.
Okay, beautiful. So one of the things that Karen mentioned is about the crabs, that when they enter into the water, they are holding hands together. They kind of walking together, and that was able to enable them really to handle all the trouble inside the ocean. So for we in this period, it's all about unity. It's all about friendship. That's what can hold people together.